Welcome aboard, everybody. It's Sunday evening, and Mike Powers is back. How do you like that? And I'm also joined by Popeye from Down the Rabbit Hole. I'm sure most of you are joining us from his chat room anyway, and for anybody that's tuning in, welcome. Slam-packed show tonight. Boy, do I have a ton of crap to talk about, and it's so good to have good buddies like Mike and Popeye here to trash people like Obama and everybody else. What's up, man?
What's up, Joe? I appreciate you having me on. It's an honor to always come on your show. I love hanging out here at the Freedomlink radio program.
I was going to say, I love the enthusiasm. Hey, man. It's good to be here, man.
Yeah, a little tired.
Mike, are you back yet?
I am, dude. I just had to grab a drink real quick. It's
fantabulous. Well, I didn't have a chance to address this when I was on your show Friday night, Popeye, because, of course, we ended the show before the stroke of midnight. And so here we are Sunday, 11/13/11, and we're not dead, and we're still here, and everything is okay again.
Exactly.
So how many times, folks, do you have to be bamboozled by these people that put out these crazy things like, oh my God, it's 11/11/11. Now, don't get me wrong, there's history and numerology. That's fine. And that's all well and good. And I'm sure that there were some freaking pagans dancing around the campfire and assless chaps, doing some Luciferian love worship or something like that at 11 p.m., a.m., what have you. But
there probably was. Probably Jerry Sandusky's friends, Joe. They're probably all friends.
Yeah, Jerry Sandusky. Yes, actually, that's Sandusky to you.
You say assless chaps like it's a bad thing, dude. No,
I got to give you credit, dude. I don't know how you do it. Even when you totally don't believe in it, you always somehow find some way to look at it from the other side. Even Jerry Sandusky's assless chap side.
It's a talent. It's a talent.
He finds a silver lining in everything, that Mike. I tell you what.
I like Mike. He's a cool cat.
In all seriousness, how many times do people have to hear before they themselves say WTF and move on and focus on Mike and focus on the things that they need to be focused on, which is self and family?
Dude, the scariest part in all of that is that, I took a couple days off from the show. I had a huge bunch of stuff I've been working on. We're going to bring it to you over the course of the next week or so. But, that whole 11, I talked to a bunch of people that were really in the know about this stuff. And one of them lives over in Europe, and that person brought a very interesting point. He says to me, well, the 11/11/11 thing is over. I'm like, what do you mean? He goes, well, if you think about it, he said, the world is actually run off of Greenwich time. Is that correct? And I said, yeah, GMT, Zulu time, yeah. And he goes, well, he says, it's 11/12 here. It's done. It's over. It's so far over. He says, and technically 11/11/11/11, he said, that would have been 11 a.m., not 11 p.m., because according to the world, there's a 24-hour clock. It would have been 23. All very interesting and valid points. I was disappointed, man. I was sitting there. I was excited. I wanted some crazy stuff to happen. I was like, at least it would break the monotony of the day-to-day manure that just continuously gets spread around. Oh, my gosh, 9/11 and Y2K and 11/11. Now there's only one great big hurdle left, and that is the December 21st, 2012 thing or whatever.
Crap. What are people going to do? What are they going to do after that?
They're going to have to listen to our live special broadcast. They're
going to have to get a job. They're going to have to get a job. That's what they're going to have to do.
Mike can be sitting there going 3, 2, 1, and damn it, I have to go find a job now.
Crap. That's what I was waiting on. Damn. It's sad, man. It's sad, and it's also kind of scary, and that's.
Well, what you come to find out, Mike and Popeye, is if you look like back in the mid-'90s when we were going through a rough patch with Clinton, everybody thought that, it's the end. Gosh darn it. And you saw the rise of the militias and everything else. And, everything kind of went the way it was. And don't get me wrong, there's a lot of stuff going on that they can't undo. Like this whole economy, the economy is not coming back. It's not.
No.
Something major is going to have to change because the existing system is so far broken that it cannot possibly be repaired. The debt can't possibly be repaid. So that the debt monetary system in its current form cannot continue for that much longer. The question that I have is, what goes in its place once it goes the way of the dodo?
Oh, man.
You know?
Yeah, ask Berlusconi the same question, you know. It's interesting that he's the look on his face in the pictures I've seen and just watching how he sits there and he goes, oh, crap, they're kicking me out. What am I going to do? Well, you know, the thing about it is that's going to be the litmus test, is to pay attention to how Greece is going to pan out, how Italy is going to pan out. And because so many people in our government and our administration take their cues from what goes on in Europe, it's a pretty safe bet that whatever you're seeing over there is going to be at least similar to what we'll see here.
And even if I want your take on this, Popeye, even if the euro breaks up, I mean, do you see it as detrimental to the United States?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it depends. It depends on how many countries over there are bondholders and have our bonds. And if that crashes and then they sell all that off to somebody, then that will affect our currency. So I can't say that, you know, I would be ignorant in saying, oh, it won't have anything effect on us. I mean, it all depends. Yeah. But the euro, sure. I guess if you're going on a trip to Europe right now, it's good because your dollar's worth a little more. I remember back in the day, first time I went to Europe, the dollar was worth, way more back then. And then my second trip, it was when it was starting to make its decline years ago. And sure. I remember, commenting to my wife, like, I wonder what, because I wasn't awake then, and I was like, I wonder what is going on. I didn't understand how over the course of like a year and a half, the value just went.
Well, what's funny is when I was in the military, there was no euro. That's when I went to Greece, it was the drachma. And, in Turkey, it was the Scooby snack or whatever they called it. I can't even remember it, but that's what we called it. And so, I mean, you have all these different currencies, and I just failed to see what was wrong with the way things were. And isn't it funny that it looks like it's going back to the way things were, or in some way, shape, or form? Like right now, they're trying to modify the Lisbon Treaty so that countries have a way out. Because before, they were not allowed out. It's kind of like, the United States when we went into the Civil War. The South wasn't allowed to exit and do what they had to do. Oh, no. No, we had to go and make sure we kept that union together. And they're trying to do the same thing in so far as, the whole cohesive, collective, let's put our heads together type of thing. But from an economic standpoint, it's freaking impossible. Mm. You got countries like Greece. How can you expect them to be able to hang with the big boys like Germany and France? You can't. Mm-hmm. You can't. So you have somebody that's always going to be a continual draw on the system, and it just ain't going to work. But my thing is even if the euro goes goodbye, I kind of see it as an opportunity for the United States. Just we have to pull our heads out of our tuchuses. That's the big thing. And one thing I want to talk about when we get back from break in the next segment is Obama's comments about America being a little bit lazy. It's like, are you freaking kidding me? I know tons of people that would be out there just ready to work if they just had the freaking job. Hell, they'd work 2 or 3 jobs. They're not
he's
there.
An arrogant prick, so I don't expect anything less from him, Joe. He's an arrogant man. He really is.
And so out of touch, man. So out of touch.
Filled with hubris. It's disgusting.
Really?
His wife likes to go shopping on the government credit card.
Is that right? Well,
oh yeah, there's a lot of stuff. You can go look that up. Go look up Michelle Obama's spending habits.
I don't even want to think about it right now. It makes me sick. I want to puke. Anyway, when we come back, we'll talk about that. We've got vandals stealing copper from the Lincoln gravesite. It's sick. The world's going to hell in a handbasket, and Freedomlink Radio is going to take you there. We'll be right back, folks, after these short messages. Don't go away. Welcome back, folks. The email address, thefreedomlink@centurylink.net. the Freedomlink at CenturyLink.net. Mike Powers and Popeye joining me this evening. And so Obama comes out with this freaking statement that just absolutely chaps my hide. Quote, "We've been a little bit lazy over the last couple of decades." Who the hell's been lazy, bro? We're kind of taken for granted. Well, people would want to come here, and we aren't out there hungry, selling America and trying to attract new business into America. No, we've been driving them off in droves, you wiener. And that's really what it comes down to. Yes, second highest corporate tax rate in the world, the United States. Certainly business friendly, I must say. But free trade agreement, NAFTA, CAFTA, all this crap, yeah, sure. Go ahead, move your plants to Mexico, to China, to Vietnam, to all these emerging economies. Go ahead. No, we don't need manufacturing. We'll just be a nation of useless eaters, of consumers, if you will. Just it makes me sick because this he's so freaking disconnected. Man, you know how many people would freaking die for just one job, let alone 2 or 3? Crap, man. That just pisses me off.
You're just lazy, Joe.
What's your thoughts on that? I'm a lazy, MFer.
That's why you're just mad because you're not getting things for free. I'm only kidding. I'm there. I think he's filled with hubris, and I think he's rude. What say you, Mike?
Man, I'll tell you, it was very apparent from day one when the guy first came out, and you could tell you mentioned arrogance a little while back, the smug arrogance about how he lifts up his chin and takes on all that air and just stares down his nose at people. And, when it sits there, it keeps telling, we're going to spread your wealth, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. I think at some point in time, I'm going to start comparing Obama to Marilyn Manson and saying that he is the original shock rock politician. He comes out and deliberately says and does things just to see how far he can push people. I think that essentially what it boils down to is that they're trying such aggressive tactics and such insane tactics because they have to know that we're going to fire first, that one of us is going to slip up and make the first mistake. If we don't do that, if we hold the line and we hold our tempers, essentially what that's going to boil down to is that they're going to have to make the first solid physical move. So they have to keep increasing these tactics. They have to keep raising the aggressive level of what they're doing. And I think that the reason we're seeing these things happen and the reason he's making statements like this is because they're realizing that they're failing at every turn.
Well, they have to. Absolutely right. I mean, one of the comments in the chat room is that, there's so many college grads out there that can't find a job. Yeah, that certainly is a problem. But even more so is the fact that they can't pay the freaking loans back. And right now there's over $1 trillion in college loan debt that can't be paid. What are you going to do? Write that off? You might as well. If you ask me, they should just write off everything. Screw it. Let's have a do-over.
Well, isn't that what they're trying to do? What's this college debt thing he's talking about? What's this?
It's not so much that. What you can do is you can combine, like what happens a lot of times is you have like unsubsidized and subsidized student loans. Sometimes they come from multiple companies, and the whole thing with Obama was when he's quote-unquote nationalized it, he didn't nationalize it to the point where it all comes from the federal government. All it is it's backed by the federal government. So should you default, the government's on the hook for it. And in return, the government's going to come after you. And that's why the Department of Education went and bought like 500 assault-style pump-action Mossberg 12 gauges because they're going to go IRS on your tuchus if you fall too far behind on your student loan. That's just one more way of let's just say, reinstituting debtors' prisons throughout the United States. So, I mean, you have that going for you. But
they did it already, too. They started it once already. They already raided a guy's house over some mismanaged paperwork or whatever. But the SWAT team raided his house, and they were the Department of Education SWAT team. Can you imagine that? SWAT, and it says DOE, and you're like, wait, who? And they're like, Department of Education. And you're like, wait, for real? You guys have a SWAT team? What?
Really? You guys should be like throwing books at us. What the hell are you doing?
That's what I'm saying. Like, I just, the Department of Education, why would you have, we're trained to handle guns. Oh, God. A trained government agent. Oh, now I feel much better.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let me tell you about some of that trained government agent marksmanship. And then that's, Department of DOE, Department of Energy, for crying out loud. Who's coming after you now? Everybody's got a SWAT team. Everybody's in this, the militarization of our governmental forces. And it's once it gets pushed to that level, once you have the Department of Education kicking in people's doors over college loan paperwork, at that point in time, I dare say that the government has gone far beyond the initial limits of the power it was ever intended to have.
Well, it's gone way far beyond many things. As a matter of fact, there was a show that I recently heard. Now, Alex Jones did a wonderful interview with this guy. His name is what the heck is his name? Eddie Craig, I think is his name. Eddie. He does Rule of Law Radio. I'm trying to find out. I'm trying to find his name now whilst I talk to you. Sorry, folks. But basically, what it all came down. Eddie Craig. Yeah, that's right. Basically, this guy, he's almost like an Alfred Addis in a way, where Alfred went and he found the loophole, or not so much the loophole, but the part of the law that the government grasps on. Where they consider us animals. And as soon as he brought that freedom of religion defense, they dropped it. Not because they had a fear of let me say this. They knew that they were going to lose if it went before a jury of their peers, and they were afraid that legal precedent would be set to the point where it would seriously undermine not only the FDA and their initiatives to control what we eat, but it would have far-reaching implications across the entire scope of government and what they can do or what they do to you. And remember, too, folks, that silence is consent. So if you're silent, you consent to what these jackbooted thugs do. So anyway, Eddie Craig...
Same reason, by the way, not to interrupt you, Joe, but that's the same reason why they threw Ventura's case out of court. Because if he had would have gone to a jury trial, it would have set a precedent. Because no jury of his peers would have been like, yeah, the TSA should grab his genitals. Nobody would have been like that. Everybody's against it. They would have totally won hands down. He would have won hands down, and there would have been a precedent set against the government that you can't do this, and now they would have had a real problem. So rather than face that dilemma, they just say, we have no jurisdiction. A federal court, we have no jurisdiction.
What's interesting is that he brought up a solution for Ventura to pursue, and I can't remember what it was called, because it had a Latin term to it. But basically what it is there's a Latin term thing that is it's a legal process that you go through with the courts that forces the higher court to make the lower court do its job. And it has to do it. And he's used it a ton of times before. I'm trying to get him on the show because this guy just absolutely – he was another guy that you just sit there and you're like, wow. And he gets into just how traffic citations, totally illegal based on the law. Because, licenses and registration, totally illegal based on the law.
Yeah, because you're dealing with law of the land versus the law of the sea, admiralty law.
Right. But it even gets into he got into commerce and everything else, and just listening to this guy talk, it was pretty heavy. So we're getting fleeced at all sides. We're just getting bombarded at all angles from all sides, and it's not going to stop until everybody decides not to be silent and to speak up for themselves and for their God-given rights. We'll be right back after these short messages, folks. Don't go away. You're listening to Freedomlink Radio on the Ryan Talk Radio Network.
Free speech guaranteed. You're listening to the Orion Talk Radio Network. The Orion Talk Radio Network is here. The First Amendment of the Constitution grants us freedom of speech. That's the freedom to express our views and opinions without censorship. If you listen to mainstream radio at all, you'll notice that free speech is pretty hard to find these days, with just a handful of networks offering programs that dare to discuss topics and issues that have a profound impact on our daily lives. The mainstream media simply lies by omission and distortion of the facts. The Orion Talk Radio Network is committed to bringing you entertaining and thought-provoking programming that dares to tell the truth. And you can help us as we grow our network.
Hi, it's Ziggy here, host of Straight Shooting. Don't miss my show, Saturday afternoons at 1 Eastern on Orion Talk Radio Network.
Ah, yes. I'll tell you, some of the banter that goes on in the chat room sometimes just makes me scratch my head. Like, how the heck do you guys get on a subject like this? So anyway, we were talking about the wonderful Obama and the puppeteers that pull his strings. And, you know, something happened last night. I intentionally didn't watch that stupid Republican debate just because I get pissed off every time I do. But one thing that was interesting, here's an interesting statistic. Ron Paul got 89 seconds of airtime.
Mm-hmm.
Out of 90 minutes, he got 89 seconds. I mean, is that not crazy?
Can you spell cover up?
Tells you who's pulling the strings.
But I played you the clip,
hell?
right? Did you hear my show?
Yeah, I heard. Yes, I did. Do you still have it?
Yeah. Here, I'll play it again for you right now. Check it out. It's 14 seconds. This is Bachman and Herman Pizza Delivery Kane talking about bringing back waterboarding. Check it out. Let me bring it up here for you.
If I were president, I would be willing to use waterboarding. I think it was very effective. It gained information for our country.
I would return to that policy. I don't see it as torture. I see it as an enhanced interrogation technique.
Until it is used against me to get information about the Federal Reserve. Then I consider it to be torture.
Not only that, but let me tell you something, man. If I'm getting waterboarded, I will. Anybody will sing like a canary, telling them anything they want to hear. Just to say,
betcha.
And what you're getting is probably not the truth.
No. Well, here's an interesting little interesting statistic for any of our folks out there who are not veterans or haven't been through such things. In the military, there are basically 4 levels of what's called SEER: survival, evasion, resistance, escape. The basic A-level SEER is something that all military veterans get. It's that if you're ever taking capture, they give your name, serial number, date of birth, blah, blah, blah. When you get up into B and C-level SEERs, you get much more intensified treatment from the instructors. And waterboarding is actually a very common technique that's used on military personnel that go through these training procedures in order to get them, because basically when you're in the operational simulation, in order to get them to talk about the positions of their other teammates and so on and so forth, it's not, so it's okay to do it to our troops in training because they realize that that's what we're going to face overseas. But, we can't connect a couple camel shaggers nuts to a battery to save 3,000 American lives. It's man, I've never been able to wrap my head around that. I've never been able to understand how it is that it's okay for them to saw our heads off with rusty kitchen knives, but the minute we stick a hot poker up somebody's butt to get him to say, I don't care what you have to do. I mean, realistically, and I don't care what kind of feedback this gets me, I don't give 2 squirts of piss what you do to one of our opponents, to get information out of them. If it saves American lives, ask me if I care.
See, here's my take on it. If we were to constitutionally declare war on a country and they were our enemies legally, yes, I'm right there with you. But because we don't do it the right way, and because we get drawn out into these long conflicts like Vietnam and Korea and Iraq and Afghanistan and all these other places, because we have not declared war. Because here's the thing. War is meant to be fought and won, not to be fought and sustained, to be fought and won. That means that you level everything. You napalm their kids. You napalm their schools. You freaking kill the women. You kill everybody. You lay waste to that
And
land.
that's why anybody that's ever experienced it is not one of these people. Most people will not come home from war after seeing the horrors of it and seeing what really happens and say, yeah, we should keep bombing the crap out of people. No, because they understand what happened. Why do you think World War II veterans, they came home? How many WWII vets didn't say anything about what they witnessed? They were just a little different, maybe a little stricter as a parent. But if you talk to their kids, they'll say, my dad didn't talk about that stuff. He couldn't watch a horror movie.
let me illustrate the difference if I can. When you go through and you see all these little YouTube jackass crap talkers, you know, and they're talking about what they did over there to all those towel jockeys and so on. And, you know, you see all that crap talk that goes on, and then you look like you just said a minute ago at a World War II or a Korea vet. I was watching a documentary earlier this afternoon that was interviewing a guy who was still alive from World War II, and he was crying. It's from the naval. Good Lord, I can't think of the name of the ship off the top. Lexington, USS Lexington. And he was talking about some of the stuff that he had witnessed there, and then there's tears streaming down the man's face.
Yeah, that went down. Lexington was one of the first carriers to go down.
Yeah, and you know, it's like, and when you really think about that, and you know, Popeye just punched it square in the nose. You get all these guys out there running their chops about what they, you know, this, that, and the other, and man, you know what? The first time you scrape somebody up off the pavement that you think you might have had something to do with, it's going to change how you think. It's going to change.
You got that right.
And the level of human suffering that you witness, you will never be able to shake that as long as you live. But that's the thing, man. That's why the Founding Fathers made it so incredibly difficult to declare war, because it's such a pain. It's downright nasty. It's rotten, but it's one of those things that should you have a conflict, you go in guns a-blazing because you want to win and bring the conflict to a swift conclusion if it's possible. And
you get it done. You just get the job done. You don't sit there foot around. You go in, you drop the hammer, and you do what's got to be done, and that's it. And that's why war is ugly. And like, you know, all three of us have stated, any real man that's ever experienced that will not run around, you know, being like, oh yeah, awesome, Bob. And if you have done it and you run around going, oh, you'll get that. There's a percentage of idiots that do it. Maybe they do it because they're young and they're retarded. For whatever reason they do it, they have no shame. And probably most of them really didn't do anything themselves. They were probably like in the back end of the unit, and they, you know, oh, it was our unit, us, you know, association. Yeah. Anybody that's really, like Mike said, if you've ever had to scrape somebody up off the pavement and wonder if you had anything to do with that blotch of goo that is now there that was once a human being, and you had something to do with dispatching them from the earth, okay, your outlook on things changes drastically. It's not some
if you have any sliver of a soul,
I'll give you one better.
Conscience. Go ahead.
I'll give you one better, man. When your unit goes in, say you've got a predator raid. You know, predator comes overhead, it delivers its ordnance, it comes down, or, you know, an airstrike of some sort comes in, and it just completely decimates an area. And you're on the team that has to go in to do all the confirmations and intel gathering and all that kind of stuff. And all of a sudden, out of the woodwork, women holding children, bleeding children, or something like that, come out screaming and pointing their fingers at you as if you did something when you did nothing at all. But, you know, you still, and this is the thing, man, this is the difference between people that have seen it and people that haven't, is that, you know, that when you see the dynamics like this, it took Russia 14 years to learn. 14 years. Now, you would have thought that after 14 years of aggression and atrocity and all the things that Russia did to Afghanistan, you would have thought that the people in charge of our stuff, you know, our country, our government, whatever, would have kind of taken that as a cue and been like, okay, so the Russians, with all of their brutality and all of their, you know, horrific ways they treat their opponents, couldn't learn after 14 years. What the hell makes us think we're going to do anything different? And, you know, it just, dude, seriously, it just gets to the point where, you know, it's going to be worse. What's going to be worse, and this is my prediction, is when it comes to our soil. When somebody brings it to us, and I don't think that's very far away. Somebody's going to bring it to us on our own soil. And then you're going to see what people are made of.
Well, now...
Logistically, I was going to say, logistically, it's hard to fathom. You know what I mean? What do you think, Popeye?
What? Getting attacked here? Well, it's not like a country would attack us. But even if, well, you never know if the dollar crashed and everything. And right now, there's really nobody. China and Russia are the only two people that could take us on, but they would have to wait for a weak moment. But who's to say that they're not? And I'm not saying that. You know, I'm not trying to get into some nationalism, you know, type, oh, you know, we got to bomb everybody. I'm not saying that, but there really are bad guys. I mean, for us to sit around and say, look, yes, I know Al-Qaeda was set up by the CIA and everything, but there really are bad guys that want to kill us in the Middle East, predominantly because we've bombed the hell out of the Middle East
because
for the
of
past
our
10
foreign
years.
policy.
Well, yeah. It is our foreign policy. When people are like, they act offended over that. oh, how could Ron Paul say that? Well, he's speaking the friggin' truth, okay? That's how he could say it. It's the truth. Our foreign policy is effed up, and that's why we have more of a threat now than we did on 9/11 of getting attacked by some pissed-off country or some pissed-off group of Muslims. Yes, now we do, because look what we've done. Look what we've done, idiots.
Exactly. And let me tell you something else. Not every attack is going to be a false flag.
No.
Okay,
but you know what?
Let's get that out in the air.
You want a real event? You want a real event? We bomb Iran, and in retaliation, they have a sleeper cell that's either over here already or whatever, and they send off they light off a suitcase-sized nuke or something. That would be a real event.
Don't think that the Iranians are stupid, because they are not, just like anybody else. And let me tell you this too, folks. If you believe for a second that Iran is going to do something hostile to us first, you're sadly mistaken. We'll be right back. Stay tuned. We're back, and we're joined by Popeye from federaljack.com and Down the Rabbit Hole. My good buddy Mike Powers. And we're discussing, it's funny how the saber rattling's going with Iran. I don't foresee Iran being the one that gets attacked next. Mm-hmm. I'm actually looking at Syria right now.
Well, right now they're all over Syria's Johnson, dude. I mean, UAE just dumped them out of their or not the UAE.
Arab League.
They got thrown out of the Arab League, and the UAE just got bunker busting bombs. So now what are they going to do? And they're going to. I guarantee you, they want to drag. When I say they, I mean the New World Order dicks. They want to drag the Arab League and all them into this world war. That way, it's Arab versus Arab as well. So it's not just white people bombing brown people. You know what I'm saying?
Enemy of my enemy is my friend.
But what's even more interesting is, let's just think about what would happen if we attacked Iran, right? So they shut down the Straits of Hormuz, because anybody familiar with the Straits of Hormuz knows it's a very, very narrow passage that separates the United Arab Emirates from Iran. You have a narrow body of water, and there's like a 12-mile stretch of international waters between United Arab Emirates territorial waters and Iranian territorial waters. Couple that with the fact that how easy is it to mine it? Extremely easy.
What did Cheney say a couple of years ago when him and Bush were in office? He wanted to have Navy SEALs go up on boats dressed like Iranian Revolutionary Guard or the Iranian Navy, whatever the hell they are that roams around the Iranian seas, whatever the hell you want to call them.
Right.
And they wanted to have them attack American Navy ships and kill sailors.
And you know how easy it would be? Do you know how many dhows are out on the water that
Cy
just go
Hirsch
to
got
and fro?
that one out. He got that one leaked out, dude. Go look up. You know who Cy Hirsch is.
Sure.
It's incredible. It was like 2007, 2000, like maybe the beginning of 2008 came out. He wanted to attack U.S. Navy ships. That is disgusting. He should be held accountable. He should be found guilty of treason and hung. End of story. And televise it. Or actually, you don't have to hang him. Just take his battery out. Just walk over to Darth Vader and take his battery out.
That's all you got to do.
Literally, he walks around. He's like,
he's like the Borg. He's like the Borg, the head Borg dude on Star Trek. You know.
Send Mike in. Mike's got the training. Mike will go in there like a ninja and just unplug him and smile at him.
we affectionately refer to it as shutting off their computer.
That would be that'd be just fine. But I mean, really, it's crazy the amount of rattling that's going on, and second, just how easy it would be for Iran to shut down the Gulf, and in so doing, shutting off a third of the world's oil supply because you can't get ships through the Straits of Hormuz to get it in and out. So, and there's estimates of oil going up to as much as $300 a barrel. Now, if you remember, the Bilderbergers had actually, when oil had spiked to $150 a barrel, The plan was to bring it back down, and then all of a sudden, a couple of years later, it's going to shoot up like a rocket. But nobody knew why that was going to happen. And now I'm starting to see how they're going to get it done. And it's through just totally causing a lot of hate and discontent within the Middle East. And now they're all bickering with each other.
Dude, it's very simple. It's as plain as the nose on anybody's face. And you know what? If I'm wrong, I'll eat my damn hat. I've said it before. I'll say it again. Ahmadinejad is your next big Arab puppet. They're ridiculing him. They're dick slapping him every time they turn around. And they're like, oh, my God, now he's a truther. Now he's a birther. Now he's this. Now he's that. They've basically turned Ahmadinejad into a South Park character. So they're smacking him around. And what better way to facilitate control over that much of a destabilized region than to put this jerk off? You know, suddenly, there's going to be this great big peace accord in Iran, and the United Nations have settled their poop, and here he is, and he's this great big guy, everything's back to normal, and plump, there you go. I'm here to tell you, man, I just don't think that Ahmadinejad is on the outs as much as people think they are. I don't think Iran is on the outs as much as, and Syria, dude, spot on. Syria's going to be there. They just got booted. They're going to be the next sacrificial lamb.
That's right. And the key to that was the Arab League booting them. I mean, think about it. Now the Arab, they have nobody. They're essentially isolated at this point. So what better way to give what's the name of the guy that runs Syria there? He's a skinny little frickin' weasel-looking son of a gun.
Al-Assad.
Oh, yeah, that's right, Assad.
He's not like I'm not saying he should be Times Man of the Year or anything. But first of all, we have no business getting involved. But he's killing civilians. It's none of our business. We have no business getting involved, because I can guarantee you when they kill civilians here, they do it all the time. It's called police and tasing and shooting.
That's right.
We don't have drones flying overhead bombing us. So I don't see NATO or UN, trying to come help our people out. So we have no effing business doing it. I feel sorry for the people. Assad, I'm sure, is a scumbag. But you know what? We don't have any right to be in there. And if we go in, or I shouldn't say we, if NATO and the UN goes in there, it's just going to become another puppet state, just like Libya and all the rest that have fallen to the New World Order.
Yep, that's all it boils down to.
I agree.
Here's another little thing I think is funny. Video games. There was just a fast little note on this just to drop it in people's ears. I think if you watch video games like Call of Duty, what's the other one? Battlefield, I guess, is another big one right now. If you watch the storylines from those video games, they're just about damn near spot on to current events.
Yeah, and it's called predictive programming.
Exactly. Sure. The one that's got me freaked right now is called Homefront. That one was kind of interesting. And there was like some big $1 million crime over the Battlefield game or the Call of Duty game or something like that. But anyway, if you really think about it, yeah, Popeye, dude, you're spot on. It's preemptive programming. We need Navy SEAL patriots to sneak up and cut throats.
Dude, I did a 2-part video series on the predictive programming and all the hidden stuff hidden inside Homefront, because I have that game and I played through it. And I'm going to tell you what, Mike is right. That game is scary because they're showing you FEMA camps, mass executions, just people getting mowed down, and they even drop Whiskey Pete on people in it. They even break out white phosphorus. I mean, when was the last time you saw it? They don't even put that in Call of Duty, and yet they drop Whiskey Pete on people. It's ridiculous. Yeah. They're showing you what's going to happen. And it's like it takes place in like the Target parking lot and stuff. It's predictive programming, dude. Death camps, everything.
Jeez, man.
And dude. Shit.
Go ahead, Mike.
No, man, that pisses me off insanely to even think about. I'm like, and all these pussified American males out there they're sucking these big brown phalluses they call cigars into their big cheap empty suits, talking about how we need to get rid of the Second Amendment, Mr. MSNBC guy. When you sit back and you really listen and watch to see what this country has been turned into, it's like all these little pussified males are going to be the ones that are standing out there letting it happen. They'll be the ones selling out their neighbors. And that's why for the last several years, I mean, once I ETS'd out of the military and everything, my general goal became very simple. That was to contact as many American people out there and tell them, listen, you don't have to put up with this crap. You don't have to sit back on your butt and wait for it. You have the ability right now. The time that you have in your hands right freaking now is the time that you can build your supplies, build your offensive, defensive capabilities, start building your teams, start learning about communications, get some advanced first communication skills. And I'm telling you what, man, as a matter of historical and scientific statistic, no war has ever been won by a standing army. It has always been by small unit guerrilla warfare tactics, because the enemy you can't see is an enemy you cannot beat. You can't identify them. Why have we been over there dicking around in Afghanistan for 10 years? Because we can't really identify who the enemy is. And when we do identify them, our government doesn't have the nuts to put them down.
Right.
You're going to keep hunting the same dude time after time after time. Oh, well, we think he put an IED in the road. Well, here's a solution. Tap, rack, bang. Guess what? He's not going to be putting any more damn IEDs in the road. Sometimes you got to squeeze a few lemons to make lemonade. And let me tell you what, man, when it gets brought to this soil, it's going to be a real sharp flip of the switch. I'm trying real hard. As many of the guys I served with and everything else, we're trying real damn hard to care about people right now. But they've got to start caring about themselves. They've got to start getting off their asses and stop expecting everybody else to do it for them.
First and foremost, self and family. Get yourself and your family prepared for such an event. And it used to be commonplace. You used to be, back at the turn of the century, it was commonplace to can food. It was commonplace to make sure you're prepared for any type of situation.
It was commonplace to see a 12-year-old with a shotgun because he might go hunting before he goes to school. But nowadays, if it has a shotgun, oh my God, heavens to Murgatroyd, what the hell? And what's sane is insane, and what is insane is sane today.
Right.
There's so many things that we could go down a list and just show how backwards things are. And it's okay. The government will take care of you. You don't need the guns.
Right.
Go ahead.
That's right.
And the thing. We need to re-embrace these freaking skills again, man. Well, I don't have to, but other people do.
The split second your government came in and told you that putting away preparations, called hoarding a crime, one of our commenters in the chat box, the very split second they came out and said that putting away preparations in disaster preparedness was called hoarding and was considered criminal. When the administration's top 4 priorities upon entering office was your guns, your water, your communications, and your food. If that's not the preempt of an invasion plan, I don't know what is.
I know, man. Well, that's the end of hour 1. Seems like it was 5 minutes. Holy crap, it's an hour. When we come back for hour 2, man, I want to talk about scrap metaling because one of the things that's near and dear to my heart. And it's something that's good for survival, especially now with everybody losing their jobs. So when we come back, we'll talk about scrap metaling, and we'll continue our conversation about foreign policy. Stay tuned, folks. This is Freedomlink Radio on the Orion Talk Radio Network. Hour number 2 of Freedomlink Radio. Folks, if you want to see the sorriest website on the face of the planet, go to freedomlinkradio.yolasite.com. So, first of all, I am not a software guy. Can't stand it. Don't know HTML. I should, and I'll teach myself, which is why I'm starting off on this free site, which is Yola. But, you want to go see the sorriest website on the face of the planet, go see freedomlinkradio.yolasite.com. Soon, it will be a mighty website. But right now, sorry excuse. So I'm joined by Popeye, who's right now eating some linguine. So if you don't hear him, that's why he's stuffing his face while he's talking on my radio.
Super spicy linguine to the point where I'm actually sweating.
Are you sweating?
Professionalism and journalism there, right there.
Oh, I love it. I love it. I love the professionalism here, yes. And of course, Mike Powers, my cohort in crime. And so we were talking about foreign policy, and I want to kind of dive off the deep end a little bit and talk about scrap metal. Folks, scrap metal is an awesome way to make some money on the side. Now, of course, there's some problems with that. The problem is that lately, people have been going and stealing certain things. Oh, let's say like entire air conditioning units off the out of churches. The sword. Somebody stole a copper sword from Lincoln's tomb. It's crazy, man. Thieves
Dude, there was
have
an entire bridge stolen. I think it was up in Pennsylvania.
Yes.
I posted on Federal Jack, they cut the entire bridge down for the scrap steel, and somebody stole. How do you steal a bridge in the middle of the night and nobody hears you take it?
Dude, leave it to a bunch of illegal immigrants with hacksaws and fucking, excuse my language, I'm sorry. Wow, oops, let that one slip. I apologize, sorry about that. But, leave it to a bunch of illegals with hacksaws and blowtorches. I tell you what, I have heard stories, friends of mine have told me stories about how abandoned houses, or
yes.
houses that are up for sale.
Stripped
these guys
clean for copper.
In a matter of hours. They get in, they snatch all the copper piping out, they come out with every single bit of any copper wiring. I mean, you go in there, the electrical outlets are ripped out, damn.
Right.
That's
and
just
why
impressive.
is that, though? I mean, that's because Americans are lazy.
Exactly.
You know how much work it is to scrap metal? I mean, that's the BS. Folks, first hour, anybody tuning in that missed the conversation in the first hour, Obama calls Americans lazy. I mean, really?
No, they're not. They're not lazy. Look, they're going to work. They're stealing bridges. I guarantee you, people that stole that bridge, I'm willing to bet that was some redneck out in the woods because it was out in the middle of Pennsylvania, out in the middle of nowhere.
Sure.
Oh, dude. When I grew up in Jersey, I knew guys that if it wasn't nailed down, they would drive around in a pickup truck with all the crap in the back. You know what I'm talking about. Yeah. Alternators, copper pipe. They're like, hey, you doing something with that? And that's part of my car.
Yeah, when I was living on Long Island, man, that was my third job, was scrap metaling. And you wouldn't believe it. Up in Long Island, infrastructure's a little bit older. Houses are a little bit older. So everything was like forced water, heat.
Yeah.
And therefore you had like window units and stuff like that. So every time an apartment complex would renovate, they'd throw out all these window units. And, of course, I was there salivate.
Dude, seriously, park your car. Park your freaking car in the wrong neighborhood and see what happens. Stop at a traffic light in some neighborhoods and see what happens.
Sure.
You think NASCAR is good at stripping rims off cars? Stop in the wrong neighborhoods, dude. Seriously.
Mike's correct, dude. There are way better pit crews. NASCAR needs to go out and start to what do they call it? Scouting when they go out and they scout for football players and stuff. NASCAR needs to go out to the ghetto and start to scout people for pit crews. Man.
I'm telling you, some people like. Go ahead, Joe.
Well, one thing that I used to do is go right around all the auto shops and pick up all their scrap metal. And what was interesting was at the time I was getting like 20 cents a pound for cast iron weight, which was awesome. Yeah. So one day I got my van. I have a Chrysler Grand Caravan, and I had I think one time I had 1,900 pounds in the back of this thing. I couldn't stop. I mean, I had helper springs on the back. I installed helper springs just so that I could put more weight in it. But everybody's like, holy crap, man, how are you not dead getting here? Because but that was it, a haul like that was like $400. It was cool. Yeah. So I mean, it's definitely a way to make some money on the side if you want to, and you don't have to get it all at one time. Make yourself a scrap pile and start separating your metals. And then when it comes time, you go do it. Right now, aluminum's about 50 cents a pound. The copper's running about $2.40 for number one copper.
So when I was 19, I'm in my mid-30s. When I was 19, I dated a girl whose father used to do that for extra cash.
Yeah.
He would go out and he would do scrapping. That's all he did. He would go to abandoned sites and steal all the copper.
Yeah.
It's amazing what they left. You'd have these huge porcelain, toilets and everything that you would think, wow, you'd want to take that. No, because that's harder to get rid of. So they would just rip all the copper tubing out in the entire building, everything. If there was they loved when the Navy, or in my case, the Coast Guard, when we would do work on when I was an engineer and we were doing work, damage controlman, we would help the EMs pull cable if they were replacing the shorelines for the ships to come up. Those things are huge. Oh, so they need people that can move stuff. Dude, we would pull that out, and when we would get rid of it, they would call the scrap guy, whoever they had to deal with or whatever, and he would come over drooling because you get 300 or 400, 500 feet in one section of cable, and this thing is 8, 10 inches in diameter, and it's just solid copper wires running through it because a lot of this stuff is the older stuff. Now they're replacing it with all this new, fiber optic and all this other
optics.
all this other crap. But you know how much money that's worth by the pound?
Oh yeah.
Oh, dude, I'll give you one better. I'm sorry, Joe, go ahead, man.
In Virginia now, you can't turn in cable like that. Any solid strand or solid core power cable, you need a contractor's license to be able to turn that in for scrap. The only thing you can do is take it back and melt it down yourself. As long as it's not in cable form, then you're all right. But I mean, you're talking, they're really turning the screws on scrap meddlers, and it's because the economy is so bad that it's just like you said, Mike. They'll go into a house, an abandoned house or a new construction, and totally strip all of the copper out of it. And that's why a lot of contractors now have gone to PVC for their plumbing, and they use aluminum wire for cable, for electricity instead of copper. And because the copper is just so damn enticing. So I mean, it's become a hell of a problem, but you can still make a crap load of money doing it. The problem is that everybody's doing it now, you know? So it's kind of hard to do. So that's what you do is you set aside your scrap piles, and when it comes time and you have a big enough load, then you go and you make yourself a couple $100, and it's a couple $100 you got from what? From trash, from nothing, from other people's waste. You know, it's amazing how much the saying is accurate. You know, one man's trash is another man's treasure. Unbelievable.
Dude, I'll tell you what, where I lived, we used to, once a year, they would have like trash day, right?
Yeah.
And people would throw stuff out that didn't need to be thrown out. People were very wasteful. You know that. People still are wasteful. And like, I had a entertainment unit in my room when I was a kid that I went out and found. Somebody had put it out to the curb. It looked pretty much brand new, except for the top. You could see somebody had screwed it in wrong, and they drove the screws sideways instead of straight into the wood, cracked it, got angry, and threw it out. Literally, just, you can see it was almost brand new. Must have been in the box for a while, and they just took it out of the box, put it together, broke it, and threw it out. I took it home, re-drilled the holes, put new screws into it. It took me about 10 minutes, okay, and I had that entertainment center for years, and it was just sitting out at the side of the curb. Now, of course, this is when I was a kid. Even today, people take stuff out of it. Well, I don't want to say take it out of the trash, because that would imply that, like, you're jumping through a dumpster or anything. But if it's at the curb, you know, big TVs, whatever. When I was a kid, if somebody took something that they could fix, it wasn't a big deal. You know what I'm saying? You reused it.
That was called initiative. That's called intelligent, yeah. Exactly.
Of course, we also had the other side of the coin where we had a TV stolen that didn't work. I shouldn't say stolen. We had a TV that didn't work, put it out, it disappeared, and it was brought back 12 hours later when they realized it didn't work.
How cool, man. We'll be right back, folks. Stay tuned. This is Freedomlink Radio on the Orion Talk Radio Network. Don't go away. Well, how do you survive in a world that's so upside down, fat poo crazy? See that, Jimmy? I didn't cuss as much as I wanted.
I did. And I likely will again.
I confess I dropped the F-bomb on Popeye's show last time, but I ain't doing it this time.
That was funny, and you know, you dropped the F-bomb, and not many people even picked it up, Joe. I certainly heard it.
I'm so used. It's a struggle.
Because you're a sailor, dude, and it just comes. It's part of your vocabulary.
It is a struggle for me. It's a struggle for me to hold that back, man. I'm telling you, I have to consciously watch every word I say.
I can tell you, if listeners heard our off-air shows, it would be much different, like our off-air conversations.
Oh yeah, man, it's bad. But that's what happens when you get like 3 sailors in a room. Forget it. It's done deal.
It's a standard issue, man. Oh
yeah. So, I mean, before the break, we were talking about scrap medaling and ways to survive. And in this bad economy, I mean, this is a byproduct of our foreign policy. Because you don't realize it, but that's what's really causing a lot of the hate and discontent, a lot of the suffering. And I hate to call it suffering because, you know, I don't think Americans really understand what suffering really is. But this is a shock. it's a shock to the system, and now people are understanding that this decrease in what we consider standard of living is permanent. It's a permanent decrease. It's a permanent drop. And that standard of living that we've been used to for decades now, the white picket fence and the house on the corner, and going to dinner, eating at your favorite restaurant once a week, all that stuff, gonzo. Yeah. And it's because we're lazy.
Hey,
that's
Joe,
really what it all comes down to. Go ahead, Mike.
Let me borrow the floor for just like 2 minutes, man.
Is this for a tactical tip of the week?
Yeah, actually, that can happen just right afterwards. I got you set. Actually, we'll do that first. Let's go ahead and do tactical tip of the week for all of our valued listeners out there. First and foremost, ladies and gentlemen, if a celebrity's using it, that doesn't mean that you should too. You see all these people out there, your Chris Costas, your Travis Haley's, your VTAC, Kyle Lamb guys, all these other guys out there, man, they're using all this super high-speed crap. Let me tell you what. The standard AK-47 is the most prolific rifle that's ever been made in history. It's one of the most effective, and I'm sure it's probably dropped more bodies than virtually any other firearm known to man. That being said, just because it's trendy, expensive, fancy, makes your gun look wicked cool, you know what? If you don't have the cost factor, that's okay. You can still be combat effective. It's all about mastering what you have in your hands. It's all about being able to accurately and effectively employ that which you have. So that's it for this week, man. Just make sure that whatever gear you've got in your hand, you master that piece of gear, and then you will be tactical. Anyway, I know that was insanely queer, but anyway,
Oh, wow, super queer, dude.
I heard that term on the internet, dude, the other day. I saw that out there on the internet. Somebody's like, "Oh, it's tactical," and I went, "What the frick are you talking to? What?" Anyway,
where's the music when you need it, Joe? Where's that music when you need it?
I know it, dude. I couldn't believe this crap. You see, I had this great. I was 3 hours in my favorite gun store the other day. I was talking to the owner. Guy is a fantastic friend of mine, and we were talking about the Magpul stuff and some of these other guys, and some of just the insanely like the Magpul grip. You notice how Chris Costa's got that thing where he wraps his reaction sidearm way up over the top of the grip and completely blocks the peripherals of his left side. So we were making jokes like if we ever had to fight Chris Costa, we just attack him from the left because he'd never see us coming. But point being, anyway, getting back to just for a second, I want to address something inside our chat box here. There's a lot of conversation. I keep seeing the word Jew popping up. Ladies and gentlemen, you know what? We encourage everybody to have their own thoughts and opinions here, and it's cool. But if you're here just to cause trouble or here to be an obnoxious asshole towards other people, best thing to do is hit the bricks. We're not going to react to you. We're not going to give you what you're looking for. We're not going to sit here and go, oh, my God, he said a dirty word. Okay, people say dirty words all the time, and by you coming in here and going off with your Jew this, Jew that, Bottom line, guys, it's like this. Take that crap elsewhere, man. Who cares? If that's, what is that showing? All right, seriously,
Mike,
pound salt.
Mike, you said a-hole.
I don't care. I couldn't. If the foo shits, wear it. It's as simple as that, man. Guys, seriously, Jews are protected. Who cares? Then go find yourself an anti-Semitic room. For the love of God, get out of here. It's just so dumb. Man. There's so many more important things to concentrate on right now. It's not just people of any one particular background that are punks causing problems. There's so many bad guys out there, man. Seriously, good Lord, find a new hobby, get laid.
Well. To be honest with you, I mean, I can understand. that there's some animosity out there, and you're free to say what you want. But at the same time, understand we're trying to talk about some relevant issues here. And with that said, I want to bring something to everybody's attention that's extremely relevant, and that maybe, hopefully, people can, maybe do something to stop this. Everybody knows about the Solandra or Solarandra or whatever you call it, the freaking stupid solar company that Obama forked millions of dollars to, right? Well, there's a company that just got a $433 million smallpox drug deal from the federal government, and it was a no-bid contract to supply experimental remedy for a threat that may not even exist. $433 million, no-bid contract. And this is our government doing this. I mean, guys, at what point in time, I mean, is it even relevant? Let me ask you that, Popeye. Is it relevant? Is that something relevant? I mean, they just print the money out of thin air anyway, right? It's all a freaking scam, isn't it?
Who was the person, where did I see the video of one of these occupiers that said something about, I forget who it was. And maybe it was Adam Kokesh, but he said something about printing money out of thin air, and the guy was like, of course, we should print more money out of thin air. Like, that's great. Brain dead. Beep. You plug that guy's head up to one of those little heart monitors, and flatline. Not enough energy to make toast.
It harkens back to the day of when A.C. Griffith was one of my co-hosts, and he would always ask the question, what's $1? And it's a very simple question, because if we all know what Federal Reserve notes are, but I've yet to find anybody that can tell me what a real dollar is. I've even gone so far as to go to the bank and try to exchange my Federal Reserve notes for dollars. And I can't get it. For the life of me, no one can tell me what $1 is. Popeye, come on, man, what's $1? I know you know everything.
It's a piece of paper you can blow your nose with or wipe your ass with. That's about what it's
That's a Federal Reserve note. What's $1? A note is a promissory note. It promises to pay the bearer its face value and what it says. So I just want to know what $1 is. Because nobody can tell.
Little symbol. The dollar is, I guess you could say the dollar sign is that little symbol, but I really don't know
right. And then,
$1 is.
Well, here's the thing, man. Then I get, well, it's not fiat. It's based on the full faith and credit of the United States government. What the hell is that? Who has faith in the government right now?
$1 is a fragment of the soul of every living American who works their ass off to support a government who continuously dry humps them in the butthole. That's what $1 is.
Exactly. But the scam, it's everywhere. Everything is backwards. What's sane is insane, and what was insane is sane. People, time we made educate some more people. So get out there and educate them. Ask them, what's $1? Just ask that simple question. I'll bet you it'll wake a few people up. Don't go away. We'll be right back. Welcome back, everybody. Joe Joseph here, along with Popeye and Mike Powers. And guess what? Special treat for you tonight. My old buddy, John King, has decided to grace us with his presence and impart some knowledge upon everybody here. And first hour, I think we lambasted the 11-11-11 tinfoil hatters enough ourselves. But I need to give John the opportunity right now to kind of lay into him a bit. So, John, by all means, you have the floor, my friend.
Thank you. How many of you out there feel stupid? Raise your hand. If you haven't really noticed, it's 11:13, fellas. It's 2 days after the fact. I'm supposed to be gone. You're not even supposed to be hearing my voice. Hell on earth is supposed to be broke loose. When are people going to realize that everything is mounted on fear? The Illuminati want to take your rights and eventually take your life by legislating it away. This side of the coin, whether it be the truthers, the patriots, the constitutionalists, and those so-called non-elected representatives that ain't representing you and doing their job is to take your rights by legislating it away and keep you in fear. The people that are selling silver and gold, although it is going up, albeit rather slowly, their job is to sell the silver and gold to you and keep you in fear. You know, I saw a video the other day that talked about Gerald Celente. It was the silver futurist that put it out. Gerald Celente got screwed by MF Global. But, gee, I thought Gerald Celente talked about getting out of paper and getting into physical silver and gold. So how'd he get screwed? Well, he got screwed by scaring you and making you buy his silver and his gold. And, oh, by the way, don't forget to subscribe. Time to wake up, folks. The time for being offended by someone dropping the F-bomb is over. They're re-educating your kids. They're shoving shit down your throat that ain't even food. They're legislating your rights away. They're going to kick in your door one day, and it's coming. Laugh if you wish, but it's coming. And when they do, what are you going to do? Cry and ask them to stop because you're offended? Give me a freaking break, people. The time is now to unite. The time is now to come forward and stand up. Not be anonymous. Not be another face in the crowd. The most powerful word in the human language that encompasses the globe is one letter. It's I. I will not stand for this any longer. That is the most powerful word in the human language, next to love, of course. But being anonymous is not the answer. Get out there, be seen. And for those of you that are out there in the Occupy movement, ring those bells of liberty. Take a dinner bell with you. Take any bell you wish. Take a bike bell. But as you're marching down the street, as you're sitting there, ring that bell. Ring the bell for freedom and ring the bell for liberty. And let those banks or sons of bitches know that you're not going to stand for it, because I won't either. Joe, back to you.
Apparently, Joe is preoccupied in another angle of the show's production, so we're going to carry right on with
Wait a minute. I was muted. Hold on. Wait a minute. What I was saying is...
Got you. Jeez.
Oh, jeez, man. What I was saying was, can I get a witness, everybody? The Reverend John King has spoken, baby. Oh. But, John, you know what? You're spot on, bro. You're spot on, as usual. And,
Anonymous is very easily run by the CIA, FBI, any ABC that you can possibly think of. I mean, we're worried about going to these gun rallies and having these drones fly over our head 20 miles away and taking our picture. Well, let them take my picture. If I see a drone flying 5 miles away or flying over, he can take a picture, because I'm going to pull down my pants and show him my ass.
I was going to say, man, that's kind of like shining a laser at like at one of those infrared sensors, dude. Your ass is probably so white it'd like blind it and like break it. That's what I'm saying.
I'll drop the bum on them.
You remember talking about predictive programming? Do you remember a game called Metal Gear Solid?
Yes.
Yeah, I do.
Okay. Do you remember what flew around in the air, keeping an eye on everybody? Drones with machine guns.
Interesting.
Oh, yeah, isn't that interesting? I forgot.
Talk about predictive programming.
Here's just a thought, okay? And this is just my 2 cents on this mess about if that's the case, if you've been such a pain in the ass, if you have woken up that many people, if you have been so profound in what you've said that they have to use a multi-million-dollar piece of equipment to drop a multi-million-dollar munition to bomb you into oblivion to shut you up, hell, you know what? Thanks. I'm going to die with honor. I can't wait to see my ancestors on the other side and say, hey, you know what? I pissed those effers off so bad they had to use a missile to knock me off. Hey, more power to them. That's all they can do. That's all they can do is kill me. We were all born with a damn death sentence anyway, so who cares if you go a little bit early? Have a little bit of fucking honor about you.
But John's right. Fear is the tool. And if you have faith and you understand that there's more to life than this earthly existence, then what the hell do you have to fear? What do you have to fear? Nothing. And if you have nothing to fear, then they have no power over you. You have the power. So you need to take that power. Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. Just like rights. We are empowered by our rights, which are given to us by our Creator. They can't take that away from you.
It's real simple. To all the tech heads out there, I put out a call to action: EMP guns, little microwave weapons. A microwave gun.
Bring it on.
You don't need bullets. All you need is a microwave gun or an EMP type gun or something. Obviously, if it's an EMP gun, you might want to be careful that whatever you aim it at, that somehow you can focus the beam. But you see that stupid drone hovering overhead. You get somebody that's a marksman, qualified sharpshooter at least, knows how to use a rifle. You hone in on that thing with that little EMP gun or the microwave gun and fry it. You know what?
You make jokes. You guys make jokes about that. Did you not read the news article, 2 or 3 months ago, where North Korea brought down an American spy plane?
Yes. Yeah, with
an electromagnetic weapon of some sort?
What? What?
It's an EMP weapon.
They used some form of a directed energy electromagnetic weapon to drop an American spy plane. It screwed his instruments in flight, all of his flight computers up so bad that he had to land. He had to come back down.
Because nothing is fly by wire, everything is fly by wire now.
It's all right, exactly.
It's all done by computers. So if you take out the main computer in a jet, goodbye. There goes all the avionics. Good night.
Well, here's the thought. It's not even so much about aircraft, guys. You got to think about this from an infantry standpoint also. Nowadays, you've got the Dagger, you've got Singars, you've got all these other, electronic this kind of stuff, aim point, EOTech, technical, laser. You take all that crap out of the equation. I've always said the one weapon that you could fight the American military with the most effectively was a friggin' fire hose. Lots of them. Because about the time you strip them of their electronic capabilities, they can't talk to each other anymore. They can't get data sent to their head-mounted, heads-up unit camera displays, satellite-fed land warrior. About the time you pull all that crap out of the equation, those guys are going to be screwed.
That's right. And meanwhile, back at the ranch in mountains of Pennsylvania, there John King lurks because he has prepared himself and knows how to defend himself and his family. He's got everything that he needs. He doesn't have to worry about any of that high-tech gadgetry. His musket ball will take them down, baby. And you make chocolate wine to boot, dude. That's awesome.
My wife and I are drinking a bottle of chocolate champagne that I made, actually, one of 6 bottles that we're going to have. Actually, I got one saved back for December 25th, 2012, and one for January 1st, 2013.
Dude, but, can we do a show on hooch? Because I would really like to do that. I think that is seriously, and this goes to survival. You're going to need bartering stuff. You're going to need stuff to barter. And what else is better than booze? If you're in a bad situation like that, well, probably like marijuana, that'd be cool. But I mean, outside of that, I mean, hooch, because everybody's going to want to they're going to want to disconnect. Seeds, sure. But I'm saying that if you can have like a wine 101 seminar with my listeners so that they can understand exactly how to do it, they can do it on the cheap, and then they have something to barter with should they need it, or get slammed, screwed up if crap.
How many morons you think are going to OD on the 21st, 2012? Just be like, oh my God, I'm going out my own way.
They drank the John King Kool-Aid.
Only the good ones.
Amen to that. We'll be right back, folks. Don't go away. Final segment coming up.
Freedomlink Radio, John King, Popeye, Joe Joseph, and me, your all-time favorite everybody hater, Mike Powers. We're coming back in for the last segment of our Sunday evening show and want to ask some questions more than just talk, actually. I've heard a lot of people come into the chat room this evening and a lot of fantastic conversation, a lot of great exchanges of opinions, and looking for a little feedback from our listeners out there as to what kind of topics do you want to hear from us? What can we do to make your job of preparing for the next 11/11/11 just a little bit easier? So with that, we'll kind of monitor the chat room a little bit, and wanted to give a thanks to all the other guests that came in here tonight, guys. It was great having you in. It's fantastic to hear from you.
Yeah, man.
How about preparing for the real 11/11/11? Because there's always going to be another asteroid, another volcano, another earthquake, or somebody passing gas in the subway. I mean, why don't we get ready for the real one?
I got a serious question. It's kind of humorous, but I have it's a good question. I don't know if anybody's ever thought about this, but why do we call asteroids and hemorrhoids? Shouldn't it be the other way around? Because the asteroids come through the hemisphere, and obviously the hemorrhoids are on your ass. So shouldn't it be the other way around?
Dude, that's kind of like parkway and driveway. That's a double pun. That's great.
Same thing.
Yeah, exactly.
I never thought about
Who the
that.
hell would have thought? Where'd you hear that? Did you come up with that yourself, dude?
I thought about that a long time ago when I was a young kid. It's something that's always perplexed me, and that's where I ran into the driveway and parkway thing. I found that out because I had pondered that question.
My lands. There's a reason. There's a reason why federaljack.com is so successful. It's because they've got the brain behind it. Go ahead, John.
The answer to that question is once you find out you have a problem with asteroids, you'll be so busy bending over kissing your ass, you'll develop hemorrhoids.
That's right.
Perhaps. Yeah.
Man, I'll tell you, listen, seriously. After 11/11/11, I am so freaking done with dates. I am so freaking done with dates. I don't want to hear another number combination. I don't want to hear another freaking, it's a celestial event. You know what? If it's a freaking asteroid the size of an aircraft carrier, we are screwed. So there's nothing you can do about it. A buddy of mine asked me the other day, he goes, wouldn't you want to know? The answer to that question is simple. Hell no, I wouldn't want to know. I just want to sit here and enjoy my life, man.
You know what, though, dude? Honestly, even if I did know, ain't nothing you could do about it. So you just enjoy each day and live your life to the fullest. But that doesn't mean that you disconnect either. You know what I mean?
No.
That doesn't mean totally disconnect. You need to pay attention. All I'm telling you is look at the motive behind the push of these dates. Who's pushing them? And why are they pushing them? It's because... It's like Glenn Beck. In the next 2 weeks, where I've got from the highest source possible that
my anus,
life-altering changes on the scale of 9/11 is going to happen. This half-hour broadcast is brought to you by EmergencyFood.com.
Thank you.
Get the freaking hell out of here,
dude,
man.
You just punched it right in the mouth. That was what I wanted to kind of close the show with tonight, as I've done the last couple times that the show's been on. I kind of took some time out. I've been working on some really, really intense stuff that Joe and I still have to cover. But one of the things I want to stress to our valued listeners out there is if you go to a website, if all of a sudden this thing pops up and 11/11/11, please come to our website, and the first thing you start getting is slapped in the mouth with buy this, buy that, 10 pounds of this, need 60 of those, blah, 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 buy this miracle cure, colloidal silver, virgin Jupiter butt cream, whatever in the hell they're trying to send. If the first thing you get is bombarded with buy, you know what you need to do, folks? You need to go up to the upper right-hand corner of your screen, click the little red X, and send those bitches packing. If they're trying to sell, all they're trying to do is sell you stuff. Go do it yourself. The internet is free. There's nothing that you would want to learn that you can't get for free if you look hard enough.
Hey, Mike. John, did you just say my Indian name? Was it Heya? I think you just did.
Well, I just wanted to tell Mike that if he would have upgraded to the deluxe package, he wouldn't have gotten the Jupiter virgin butt cream. He would have gotten the Uranus virgin butt cream.
We were striking to keep things all original and in their proper unbroken packaging. No, man, it kills me, dude. I've literally done at least 40 hours of research in the time between the last show that I appeared on and tonight, because I wanted to go through and I wanted to really just knock the living crap out of all these people out there, scare tactics. One of the things Joe and I are going to be talking about in our private conversations, some of the programming I'm hoping to bring you very soon, is I'm going to start pointing fingers at people who are using deliberate scare tactics just to F with your guys' head. You will not get that when you come here, and I'll be damned if I'm just going to sit around and watch other people trick you and scare you into wasting your money and your time to buy a bunch of shit that you don't need.
Well, call them out. Exactly, sure. Call them to the carpet and make them prove what they say. I mean, it's going to make it hard for you to get gas, but then you're actually going to know who's on what side. And we're not here to entertain. We're here to inform. Right?
Amen to that. Amen to that. And, there it is. I got the Jimmy is giving me the you said what? Sorry, Jimmy. He didn't mean to say what he said.
Did I do it again? Did I do it again?
The best part is he probably didn't hear it the first time, but you ratted yourself out. So.
Well, no, or the previous 17 times that we.
You'd be a great character witness in court. It'd be like, did you murder the person? Of course I did, but I didn't do it. I swear.
I erased the pictures off my cell phone. I did. I took. Oh man! No,
he said, I heard it all. He's the man behind the curtain.
See, Jimmy is Orion's Phantom of the network of the radio network.
Right.
Just like Oracle has Bob Tuskin as their Phantom. We have Jimmy X.
Well, at least we have to get him for Christmas now.
Oracle broadcast. I'm not kidding. Whenever I go and co-host a show for somebody on that network, doesn't even matter if it's not Bob. Like with Jimmy X, I guest hosted a show, I should say, today, and Bob just pops up out of nowhere. I'm telling you, he has like some mystical power over there. I don't know how he does it. It's that afro, I think.
And it's got to be the hair. It's got to be the hair. It's definitely not the Judaism. It's the hair.
No, it's the hair. And Jimmy X is not a Jew, and he's mystical, so I don't know how he does it, but he's our Phantom of the radio network, too, so. So he's one.
So any parting thoughts, John, before the broadcast ends? Or not?
I see Mrs. Joseph called Jimmy the Great Oz.
Sorry, I was muted. Use the word I, folks. Empower yourselves. The word I will give you the power. I will or I won't. Don't be wishy-washy. Get out there and let yourself be seen.
What you're saying then is personal responsibility. Embrace personal responsibility. Cast off this community groupthink type of thing and embrace you are responsible for you, and you alone can change the way that you're going down that road. You can you come to that fork in the road, it's you. You make the decision to go left or go right. You don't need anybody else to tell you. Do it. Make that decision. Be a big boy.
That's right.
Or girl.
Accountability, responsibility and accountability.
I like crap or get off the pot. You know, that makes me just narrow it down.
Oh, come on now, man. You've said shit now about freaking 25 times this show.
Yeah, but I'm trying to clean it up. I get annoyed when these things happen.
I know. Oh, geez,
we're ever gonna get on MSNBC. Yeah, okay.
There's just gonna be like one long beep, though, you know.
I know.
I want to have my own cable TV show. It has to be called Are You Effing Kidding Me? But not without, I guess you could bleep the word if you had to. But the show would have to be on cable, like HBO, because there's no way I'd be allowed to be on regular terrestrial TV. Like
what would it take to make that happen?
I don't know, dude, but if someone's rich out there that's listening and likes us, I want a show called Are You Effing Kidding Me? Okay, I'll bring all these guys on as guests and everything, and we'll bring, like, political pundits, we'll bring these jerk-offs from, like, Fox and MSNBC and CNN. We had these idiot politicians on, and when they start talking about their retarded stance on things, we can just look at them and go, hold on, are you effing kidding me? Like,
that's right.
Really?
Nice.
And just call them out right on air.
Ron Paul.
Somebody with money.
What's that, John?
I said, this is a big one. First one, Ron Paul. Are you effing kidding me? How come you haven't done shit since you've been, got control of the Fed? Why are they still in operation? Now you're running for president and you tell me you were going to fix that? Are you effing kidding me? Fix the first thing first, fool.
Well,
hey,
Johnny,
Ron Paul sounded like Dirty Harry.
Well, how can Ron Paul fix anything if he only gets 89 seconds out of a 90-minute debate? Come on, man, 89 seconds?
He's chairman of the guy that oversees the Fed, isn't he? Or oversees the Treasury?
He's one man. He's one man.
If he's as powerful as everybody on YouTube thinks he is.
Supposedly,
he's one man. That's the thing.
Yep.
He's not as... He is just a human being like you, me, or anybody else. Should he take a more proactive stance? Dude, if I got 89 seconds in a 90-minute freaking debate, don't think that I wouldn't be pissed the hell off and saying crap.
You know what I'd do? Next debate, I'd tell them all to go kiss my ass, and I'd hold my own online debate and put the truth out on myself and let people know that the mainstream media is biased and they're working against us, and get people to rally behind me and get the young people out there to get the vote, not be all wishy-washy about it. Keep people divided.
He could be doing that right now. Nothing's stopping him.
Folks, we're out of time for this evening. We're out of time, I said. We're out of time for this evening. But tune in on Tuesday evening from 10 p to 12 a Eastern, where we will try to not drop as many F-bombs and poo.
Effing poo bombs.
We're gonna keep it down to at least maybe in the teens this time. So,
or you can tune into WTF tomorrow, and then you'll hear all the F-bombs.
WTF, and then you hear all the F-bombs you want, or down the rabbit hole when I go and troll his chat room. So have a good night, everybody. God bless you and stay safe.